Hey, it's great to see you guys. So I usually have a vague sense what I'm going to chat about almost when I first get up in the morning. And today it got waylaid. It got shanghaied. That's probably not a politically correct thing to say anymore. But I got an email from a friend, sort of an ex-friend, and we had a falling out a few months ago. And do yoga teachers and meditation teachers have falling outs? Yes, probably more than other people. But anyway, it was a rare time when I got really angry with somebody and I really let them have it big time. And deservedly so. It was righteous, justified anger, right? Because it always is. And, within an hour of doing it, I was like, oh God, what the hell? It's like clearly something needed to be said, but with the urgency and the anger and the stridency with which I said it, uh, certainly could have done that a lot better. So, I wrote a written apology to him and sent it off and didn't really hear anything back. It was a really good apology too. And so today, I don't know, what is it, 3 or 4 months later, I wake up and there's the response. And so it just, stirred the whole pot again. And it's like, oh man, and now I'm reliving it. And I should have said this and I could have said that. And man, at that time, if I'd said this, and then if he had said that, and the guy's such a dick, and he deserved it. And it was my job to set him straight. And do you guys ever, it's just like, this is what stupid humans do. And so now I'm kind of revisiting it. And it's like, wow, one more mistake on the path, one more stubbing my toe on the way to scraping myself up the mountain of consciousness, one more bozo on the bus. And, we're all just little kids. I had this vision of when Jesus and Buddha and Krishna were in daycare, if they were all in daycare at the same time. And I don't know, like they're 2 years old and one is kicking the other one in the ribs and the other one is smearing poop all over the walls. And it's like, we're all just little kids at some point, and we have to make these mistakes. There's just no such thing as a mistake-free human existence. And we all know that. There's a certain freedom and liberation, and when we can admit our mistakes, admit them freely, and see them and realize the glory and the majesty of the mistakes and how without them we'd never get where it is that we're going. There's a beautiful phrase in spirituality. I've always loved it. It's all things work together for good for those who love God. And it's a little kind of old-fashioned and Bible schooly, but all things work together for good. Every mistake that we make, if we see it from the right perspective, it'll always unfold into some sort of great synthesis of good. And we'll always be able to see it when we look back, if we admit our mistakes honestly. And another beautiful thing about mistakes that occurred to me is that the mistakes that we make might very well make it likely all the fewer mistakes that we'll need to make in the future. Just as we're watching any virtuoso musician or artist or anybody that's really good at anything, we're fascinated by their ability to perform great works of wonder without seemingly make any mistakes. And because they've made more mistakes than anybody ever has, it's quite true that anybody who's virtuoso has simply stuck with something and made more mistakes than anybody else had and kept going. It didn't cause them to quit. That certainly is a big theme in my life, is this willingness to make a bunch of mistakes and trying to learn a bunch of things, but to keep going with a good attitude and allow mistakes to move into their proper perspective. So all things work together for good for those who love God. Everything that seems to go wrong can be used to your benefit. I was thinking today, as we move into the second, year two, from the end of year two, from the pandemic, how, truly for me, it's been the best pandemic ever. It's been a horrible, terrible worldly time. And yet, all things work together for good. And I'm in such a better position because of what happened, and the fact that I have learned how to ride out mistakes and context them into something wonderful. So be good to yourself. If you make a mistake, admit it, move on, and be grateful. Tomorrow we'll talk about the whole week. I'll see y'all.